everyone, and welcome to yet another Taste Talk. Today we have Sruthi Swaminathan, who is going to be demonstrating a Clementine Gorgonzola salad with balsamic. And we were actually just talking about this yesterday's Wine Wednesday with Mary Ross. We were discussing the white wine Riesling, and it had been stated that these would be a great pairing together. So I see Mary has even joined us in the audience today so she can learn more about this salad. And I am so excited for you to go ahead and take the reins, Sruthi.
All right, cool. Hey guys, thanks for coming. Christine and I were just talking about how last year we ordered a lot of takeout, and I looked forward to these classes when I was actually cooking, because then it meant I was going to have something home cooked. Now, I will say before I show you this salad, I'm not sure if I've done these salads in these series before, but I will say that I'm a convert to salad. So what I mean by that is, like, growing up, I used to just think that salads were just glorified cattle food, right? Like, I was like, I'm not a cow. Like, I don't need to eat leaves all the time. Like, how is that filling? Doesn't it get boring? Where's the spice? Where's the texture? I mean, I was just hating on salads a lot. But then it turned out that some days when you just feel really full and like don't want to actually, or it's hot and you don't really want to turn on the oven or turn on the stove, or you have a bag of arugula just wilting in your fridge that you're like, this has 24 hours where I have to use it or it's not going to work out. Salads are a great thing to do there. And they're also, my blog used to be called Kitchening Around, about cooking with what you have. Salads are also a great thing to just put together with what you have. As long as you have some greens and something else, I guarantee you can put together a salad and maybe surprise yourself in the process. So what we're going to be making today is a Clementine Gorgonzola salad. There's no cooking, that's why I'm not over by the stove. And this is a really simple one, and one I came up with several years ago when I, again, had just a bag of these, and I was like, what am I going to do with these? Like, my son wasn't born at the time and I knew he wasn't eating them every day, so I just made this one up. And in the recipe that Christine will send out, you'll see that at the bottom I've listed kind of different variations and modifications in this salad that I'll talk through now as well. All right, so to get started, the first thing we're going to do is make the balsamic dressing. I'm looking over here because I have like the instructions over here so I don't go out of order. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt the camera down so you can see everything, and then you'll see me actually making the dressing. So this dressing is super simple. I'm going to tilt it down just like this. You can see I have my clementines cut here. I'm going to move this to the side. So I'm going to take is just a bowl, and in it, I'm going to pour in some balsamic vinegar. So this is the kind that I'm using. So for anyone who knows or has recommendations for really great aged balsamics, please let me know. I don't. Oh, you just made salad. Yay. I'm not an olive oil or wine connoisseur. I basically will buy things that look good. Sometimes if I have the chance to taste something, I will taste it and do it. So I'm pouring in about a quarter cup there-ish. I also have some extra virgin olive oil. This is the only one I have, but I would recommend for the salad, if you can find, if there's a brand that you really like a lot, go ahead and use that. If you have a fruitier olive oil that you've used, that would go really well in this and complement the clementines and some of the other things we're going to be adding as well. So here I'm going to be using about maybe like a little more olive oil, vinegar, and this is something where I always kind of adjust after. So I'm going to taste it and figure out what I want to do. The other thing I'm going to do, I didn't even mince these yet, but I'm going to is add in some garlic. And I love garlic. So I think I said 2, but these cloves are kind of small, so I'm going to go with 3. Chop these up and put that in here. And the reason, as I'm chopping this, I'll tell you, the reason that I tend to, let's move this up, make the dressing first is because I want to give it time to kind of sit and like meld together. I don't want to use the word marinate. You're not really putting anything in there to marinate, except maybe the garlic, but really you just want time for those flavors to fuse together before you then dress it. And this is not going to take a long time. Like, this is not a dressing you need to make hours in advance or the previous night, although you can if you want. The flavors will intensify those. So just know that if you're tasting it right now and it's perfect right now, in a couple days, it's probably going to taste a little more intense, specifically with things like garlic, which do tend to intensify. I'm going to add the garlic. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last one, but man, I keep debating whether I should buy peeled.
No, you did talk about this last time, whether you should start buying peeled garlic. I know how you feel about garlic and how much you like to use it in all of your recipes. So
it might be worth it. It might be one of those things that's like that's a luxury purchase to me.
Yeah.
Like buying peeled garlic is a luxury. Like, I don't buy cut fruit. I don't do any of that. Like, so this would be a different. And I think I talked about like all the different methods I've used to try to do it. And it's not. So Barefoot Contessa, Ina Garden, if you guys are familiar with her on Food Network. She has this recipe that's like chicken. Again, I feel like I've talked about this before because I talk about this recipe all the time. She has this recipe called chicken in 40 cloves of garlic. I thought that was absurd initially. Oh. And then I made it once and it's like,
yeah, we've done that before too. It's amazing.
It's divine. Like, it's just so good. Okay, so I'm almost done with peeling this garlic. I'm just going to mince it up really small because the idea is it's different if you're like cooking the garlic and then you, if you're cooking the garlic, the flavors can kind of like tamper down a little bit, but here it's going to be in there raw. And when it's in there raw, like, I don't want to bite into big raw bits of garlic. So it's going to mince this up and put it back down.
We have one recommendation of putting the garlic cloves in the microwave for 5 seconds to make it easy to peel off.
Really? Do they have to be like
Mary is saying yes with the peeled garlic and get it to a small shop where it's fresh. She likes to chop it all and then cover it with oil so she always has it ready. And me, I'm a big fan of the using your knife blade to smash your garlic to remove the paper.
Yes, I know. I've done that, but then I always feel like it smushes up the garlic too much. I don't know. I guess that is the way that works. The smashing it with.
And yes, I'm sorry. Asaf just asked if I had sent the recipe. I just sent it, so it should be.
I sent it to you late
right now.
I sent it to you late. I only sent it to you like this morning, and then I realized after I sent it, I left out one of the ingredients. So you will see that here. Okay, just mincing this up really small. So, question to Mary. She said that she will kind of get it and then put it in oils. Then do you store it in the fridge after that?
Yes, pardon me. So I get a container of peeled garlic, smash it, chop it just the way you're doing it, put it in a maybe an old cottage cheese container or an old, something that will seal, cover it with oil. And then I always have garlic ready. I always have oil ready. And as you say, it intensifies. So then I just keep adding oil.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Okay.
So it can last, 10 days, maybe even 2 weeks.
Nice.
Oh, and I'll definitely go through that amount of garlic into it. Like, I use garlic in everything. So that would really help when for things like stir fries, where you especially have to like have everything ready and you can't kind of cook as you go, which I like to do sometimes. Okay, so guys, I just got this.
Oh, I love a bench scraper like that.
Yeah, it's a bench scraper. Apparently you can use it to like scrape things when you're baking and want to get all the batter. I wouldn't know, but when you're trying to like scrape all the batter out of things. So yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so all I've done is you can see the balsamic You can kind of tell there. And olive oil is kind of separated. No big deal. We'll whisk it later. We've added the garlic to it. The next thing we're going to add to this is a little bit of oregano. So about that much. So that's about a teaspoon or so.
Yeah, important piece of information here too. Peeled garlic does have a finite life and will get fungus. So it is something you have to really pay attention to it and be careful with it as well.
Okay. And then here I just have some ground thyme. If you have dried thyme, you can add that too. I just happen to have ground thyme, so I'm gonna add that. This is about like half a teaspoon. So the ground stuff really is much more intense, just like the dry stuff is. So I don't want to overpower. That's not that. I don't want to overpower it. Okay. And then we're also going to add a little bit of honey to sweeten everything up. And again, we have the clementines in there, which are going to be a little sweet, but then this is not going to make it overly sweet. It'll just add kind of a nice, that's about right. I'm going to get a whisk and whisk it together. Also add salt and pepper. And we'll whisk it again right before we're ready to dress the salad. I mentioned this in the notes, and you guys probably know this, but if you're not serving the salad right away, just leave the dressing to the side, or you can also pour the dressing in the bottom of the bowl and then assemble the salad on top of it, just so everything doesn't wilt and get soggy. And this way people can kind of control how much dressing they want.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that you can substitute fresh thyme and oregano chopped too. Could make it much fresher.
Absolutely.
About how much honey would you say that you did?
It's about 2 to 3 tablespoons.
Okay.
And also remembering that we're using a lot of salad greens, like this is the bowl I'm going to be using. So we're going to have a lot of salad, and you can also adjust how much of this you want to your taste. I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to season it with a little bit of salt. I'm trying to get better about seasoning as I go instead of just at one part. And this is pepper. So I have to say, after almost a year of owning a salt and pepper grinder, yes, I used to use only ground everything all the time. I find that it doesn't make that big of a difference for me for the salt. So I'll use sea salt in the grinder, but then I'll use kosher salt in this little container. It does make a difference in taste for the pepper.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I'm going to go back to using ground pepper ever, really. All right, I'm going to grab a spoon. We're going to taste it, and then we're going to set it to the side.
Yeah, I honestly only, we're all about ground pepper over here. I have one recipe though, that the volume of pepper in it is the only reason why I purchase ground pepper, because there's no way I'd be able to grind all of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just tasted it. Needs a little more balsamic. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And it also needs a little more salt. So sometimes it's tricky, like tasting these dressings before you actually add them in, because obviously you're not like drinking the dressing straight up, and you're not drinking the dressing. And so tasting it here, sometimes if it tastes like super intense, you're like, man, that doesn't, just remember you're not drinking it. You're not like having spoonfuls of it. It's just there to kind of coat the salad and bring some like brightness and tang to the salad itself. Okay. So that's all done. I'm going to set that aside. And now that was really, if you want to call it that, the hardest part, which hopefully wasn't too hard. Next, we're just going to assemble the salad. So what I have here is I just picked up this. So this one just says like super greens. And it says it has 5 superfood baby greens. It has red and green Swiss chard, tatsoi, because that's another green, arugula, and spinach. So you can get mixes like this. You can also just get like a head of lettuce and tear it up. I think the things I recommend in here are things like arugula works really well. Actually, I might have some arugula that I might add in here to boost. I have a little bit of arugula. I'm going to add that in. And I love arugula, so it's okay to me that that's going to be a little greater. So here's the bowl. We're just gonna go ahead and assemble this. I'll show you how. Here's the bowl. It's all reflective and stuff. Okay, is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So all I'm gonna do is, salad's already, or the dressing's already done. These are already washed. I'm gonna add a little bit of this arugula to the bottom. And then I'm gonna also top it with some of these greens. So on one hand, I love, love, love arugula. It's probably my favorite green. And I think it goes especially well here. I'm biased, of course, but I think it goes especially well here because you have all this sweetness happening and you don't want it to, like, I'm not looking for this to be like a candy type salad, right? Like you could, if that's what you want, that's great. But I'm not looking for this to be an overly sweet salad. And having this, like the light bit of like bitterness and then the more kind of mellow flavors of like the spinach really work well here with that sweetness. Okay. And as always, this looks like a lot, but like I would eat half of this as a full dinner, right? Like, because you'll see that. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So you have the greens in here. I'm gonna grab something to toss on really quick. You know, this always happens. See these things, guys? I like never use these. And every time I do a kitchen, this is ridiculous. I'm like bending down to sitting there like, do you see that? So I never use these, but I think they look so cute. They came in a set of like 6 things. I needed wooden spoons to stir things, but I don't know, this might be the first time I'm ever using them in like months.
So like seriously, something like that, I find myself using it at like a formal dinner, like serving the salad.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? If you guys weren't watching, all this might just be like my, no, I mean,
No, it's like typically when we make salads here too, it's wash your hands, use your hands.
Yeah. It's the best tool. Okay, everything's just tossed in here. And now, here's the thing, right? Like, I'm big on, so I used to host these pop-up dinners, which hopefully I'm gonna be starting sometime in July, where, you know, I post what I'm going to make online and then people come and like sit and eat. When I do things like that, it is nice for the presentation to be good too, right? So if you really wanted, you could just dump everything in here, toss everything, leave it on the table, and that's fine. It's going to taste the same. But if you just want to kind of add a little more like pizzazz to how it looks, this is what you would do. So here we have all the greens. The first things we're going to add in here, because this is a Clementine salad, is we're going to add the clementines in. So I'm just breaking them up into individual pieces like this, and I'm going to just arrange it in one corner. Now, a much prettier way of presenting these is to use one of those little like paring knives and cutting that. What's that called?
Supreme.
What was that?
Supreme.
Oh, is that what it's called? Where you like cut them, you remove the pith, and you like.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't do that because I'm a very clumsy person. A couple years on my birthday, I sliced my finger open on the stem of a wine glass the morning of my birthday. So before any drinks had been consumed and while I was just doing the dishes. So therefore, I don't like holding something in my hand and like pair it using a paring knife to kind of go towards my face. It just like freaks me out even thinking about it. So I don't know if you guys need to know that story, but that's why the oranges look, the clementines look like so. Let's see if there's a way to. Okay, looks like that. I'll show it close up to you later. You can add more if you'd like. So add less. I've done this in the past where I've like drizzled the clementines in a tiny bit of honey and just tossed them before putting them in. So that way they have this kind of glazed look. But here, you know, we have the honey in the dressing. I just don't want to make it too sweet. Okay, so you have the oranges. The next thing we're going to add in here is slivered almonds. So I just got these ready in a bag. They're not in the snack nuts section. They're in the baking section, I found out today. So these are just slivered almonds, like no seasoning to them. Just like a really smooth, really mild flavor. Add those. And I love slivered almonds, so I'm adding quite a bit. See what that looks like right there. Next, we are going to add some cranberries. And these are dried cranberries and also a little bit sweet like the oranges, but have an added kind of tartness to them as well. And I love that sweet tart combination. So we're gonna add some cranberries. This may be, I don't know if we need all of these. Maybe we do. Okay. And then I'm just realizing this is the ingredient that is not on the list that I decided to add. We're gonna add some red onion, right? Or like purple onion. I just cut them into these little rings right here. And the reason I'm adding this again is because you have the sweet, you have kind of the freshness from the salad greens, you have the crunch and that more mellow kind of buttery flavor from the almonds. And this is gonna give that more pungent kick to the salad to just keep things a little more interesting. If you do not like raw onion, I would suggest pickling them and do a quick pickle. So you could just put them in apple cider vinegar along with some sugar for maybe 20, 25 minutes. And that way they'll lose a little bit of that extreme pungency and bite. And you can use them, okay? So we have that. And a couple more things and then we'll be done. So let me just move this to the side. So do you see how this is just like presentation theater over here? Like this is how you want the salad to look when your guests arrive and you're kind of like, look at like all the stuff I made that took me hours, but this took like 10 minutes to put together. It's in the presentation, really. Okay, next thing we're gonna add is the Gorgonzola. So this is like a 4-ounce can. I'm going to add that. I love Gorgonzola. We're gonna add that right here. Okay. And this could be it, right? You could just kind of serve it like this, toss it, put it in a bowl, and then people could add the dressing as they wanted. But the one special thing I wanted to add in here is some prosciutto. And again, little salty also adds that texture. And I feel, you know, just keeps you a little more full when you're having some more protein. You can totally skip this. You could add, if you want this to be vegetarian, leave it like this or put in some just pan-seared tofu. Or you could put in any of the meat substitutes if you want to do that. Or if you don't want to do that at all, and you could put in mushrooms if you want, just for that kind of meaty texture without the actual meat. And if you want, you could even just put roasted chicken in here. You know that roasted chicken you make? And then you're like, yeah, I tried to eat all of it last night and couldn't. It's in the fridge. Like, what am I gonna? This is the thing to put it in, right? Because add olives for salt instead of prosciutto. You could absolutely do that.
Yeah. I also got another question. Where'd you get the Gorgonzola and the prosciutto?
So I got everything at Mariano's. So that's just like you can get everything. Nothing here is a specialty ingredient. It's one thing I really try to do is not, I know like for some of my Indian recipes, it feels like, oh, like, are you going to find 3 different kinds of garam masala at Mariano's? No, but I also never use 3 kinds of garam. Like I use one, and the kind I use changes based on like what my mom has made and given me, or my mother-in-law has given me, or what I get from the store. So all of these should be available at your regular grocery store. But I will say, things like the Gorgonzola cheese, some of the Parmesans, they may not be in the like in the deli meat section. So in the deli meat section, you'll get like blocks of cheese, you'll get the slices of cheese that are like the sandwich cheese. This, in at least the Mariano's I go to, is not there. They have a cheese section, and that's where I found this. And the cranberries, they also have like a fancy cranberry section. No, go to the baking aisle and get your slivered almonds and then get your dried cranberries. You don't need like fancy organic cranberries for this. Okay, last thing is just the prosciutto. And this was actually like a last minute decision. So just super thin. So you can kind of cut it, tear it up and put it in right here in the center, just like that. I think it looks nice with the ribbons. Like my goal with these is I never want it to look too perfect or want it to look too precious in any way, because I don't want people to be afraid to eat any of the food. You know, I want it to feel like, looks nice, let's take a picture and let's eat it. That's like really my goal. And we're putting them all in the center now, but you can always toss it later on. So I'm just gonna put a couple more pieces. I might add a little bit later on. So what you can do is you can always add it in here. And then if there's someone who doesn't like prosciutto, that's another thing you could do, right? Make the rest of the salad and then leave the prosciutto to the side, or leave the chicken to the side if you have people coming over that are also vegetarian. You think may not like it. Okay. And that's basically, let me make sure that I've added everything that I have out here. Yeah, so that's basically it. So let me show you a close-up of the salad. So you guys see that?
Yeah. So like when your guests coming, you guys are finally ready to start on your salad. You just go and toss it like table side, and then
Exactly. I toss it table side. So one thing I didn't do here is I didn't put dressing all the way at the bottom, right? Because I just don't know when I kind of had a big lunch and I don't know when I'm going to eat this per se. But yeah, I would toss it table side, and then, or sometimes people are like, I don't want dressing, or they have different dressing amounts that they want. So then I'll just leave the dressing to the side and say like, serve yourself. So I'm gonna do one last whisk of this. And then what I will do is I'm not gonna toss it now, but when I toss it, I'm gonna toss it, add the dressing, and then take a picture and send it to you guys. But I do wanna try it. Also in the recipe, you'll see I've like suggested alternatives for a number of these things. So part of the reason I'm adding things like the cranberries and the nuts is obviously for the flavor, but also thinking about the different textures that go in here. So just like with this greens mix, like they're all different, they're not just different flavors, they're all like slightly different textures. Some of them have a longer stem, some of them have a thicker vein, etc. So just like that, I'm always thinking about texture. Like I don't particularly enjoy completely soft food that is like baby food consistency, unless it's a drink, like unless it's a milkshake, right? So or unless it's like cream soup or something, like I don't like mushy foods too much. And so I try to vary it, right? So if you look here, see this thing's like twice the size of my hand. Okay, you see here, you have, obviously you have like the oranges, which are totally different, the clementine's totally different texture. You have the prosciutto, which is soft, and it'll like melt in your mouth, but it's also going to be salty. You have the slivered almonds, which give a super nice crunch, but they're mild in flavor, so they're not gonna be like offensive to anything else on the plate. We have the cranberries, which have like a bit of a bite to them. They almost have the al dente pasta, I like to say, and then they're sweet and tart. You have this, the gorgonzola, which is like a pretty strong flavor. Like if you don't like gorgonzola, you don't like blue cheese, swap it. You know, use Parmesan, use burrata, use mozzarella. You can do that. If you don't like any of these ingredients, you can always swap them. And then the onions, I love having the onions in here, the raw onions, but like I said, you can pickle it, you can leave it out. I think with the recipe, the photo that I sent with it is of a previous version I made.
Oh, I didn't forward the photo. I'm so sorry, folks.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, it's not the exact thing, but it just goes to show like how many ways you can adapt. Oh, sorry. Did someone say something?
I got it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so when you have all of these, like, so there's a book that I have. I think I got as a gift a couple years ago. It's called The Flavor Bible. Are you guys familiar with that book?
Oh, yes. That's
Oh,
a good
okay.
one. That's a good one to have on your shelf if you're really into food.
So I got it. And initially I was like, this is like a thesaurus or something. Like it's just like words beneath words beneath words. But then I started looking at it and I was like, yeah, like beneath the way it works is they'll list an ingredient. So for example, they'll list clementines. And I couldn't find the book today, or I would have consulted it and I would have like propped it for you. If it says clementines, it'll be like, here are all the things that go really well with clementines based on talking to chefs, based on talking to instructors, based on talking to people who like develop food recipes for a living. And they have different categories of them. Like some are like go well, some go really well, some go really, really well. You know, so they have like different categories of that. And it's a great resource. You know, some of the pairings in there, I wouldn't even think to do, but it's very, very good. But one of the things I know is in there, because I've consulted it before, is clementines and strawberries. You know, so clementines and strawberries, I haven't tried it, but they've said it pairs really, really well together, like the berry with this citrus. So that's something to try. I've tried these with like grape tomatoes, and just sliced and kind of salted grape tomatoes. That works very well. I actually today wanted to use pistachios, but they didn't have shelled pistachios, and I like didn't want to shell like 50 pistachios.
If
Or
you
50.
don't want to do the garlic work, you're not doing the pistachio work.
Yeah. So I didn't want to do that. So anyway, that's how we ended up with the almonds. But this just goes to say, like, I'm a big proponent of like just adapting whatever you can, you know, and I think that's where the fun is. And that's how you don't end up getting frustrated when like an ingredient isn't available or something goes bad, because you're like, well, I could just do this other thing. It's not a big deal. So anyway, that's it. I'm going to take a little bite. And someone says, is it better to add the dressing last minute? Yes, mainly because otherwise it will wilt, or it'll just get super, super soggy, and you don't want that. So I'm just going to kind of grab, since I haven't tossed it completely, I'm going to grab a little bit of everything. When I do this, I almost feel like I'm in like or I'm taking things off a charcuterie board. Or something, you know, because you could, I mean, if you want, you could put all these things in a charcuterie board. Like, look how this looks. Like, this looks like a charcuterie board, right?
Yeah, you can totally do a salad. I mean, that's like such a hot thing on TikTok and on Instagram reels and things like that. Everyone is wanting to lay things out and charcuterie style right now. Some of them work really well, others not so well. I've seen ones that are very, very questionable. Someone did like a spaghetti and meatballs dinner in that kind of style, and I was like,
bowls containing it, or just on the?
She had her whole countertop covered, one part with the noodles, one part with meatballs, one part with sauce, and I was like, one,
I want to clean up.
Gross. No. Two, girl, you just put tomato sauce on your white countertop. Good luck with that. So it was, she had a white countertop and she put tomato sauce, like 2 jars, and it was jars of tomato sauce too. 2 jars of tomato sauce. I was like, and my other thought was like, what temperature is this at, and when are people going to eat it?
Yeah.
Now those things start going through my head when I see some of these displays. They kind of something.
I wonder if like part of it is for that shock value, you know? Like where you're, oh, look at what they did. Like a lot of people will look at it. Anyway, okay, here's a salad. You see, right? You don't really want to toast it beforehand, right? Because the dressing here is also a brown dressing, which is going to coat everything, and it's going to change the color of everything, which is going to make it taste great. May not be the best like presentation, right? So here it is. I'm going to take a bite. I'm going to try to make sure I get the Clementine, the Gorgonzola, the prosciutto.
I'll show my salad.
Oh, wow.
Let me see.
Is that cabbage or Brussels sprouts?
No, I just use baby radish, cucumbers, grated carrots, just lemon juice, and cilantro. You know, I just sprinkle cilantro, and then I just seasoned it with mustard seeds and what else I put? And sweet pepper. That's it. I made it this morning.
So simple.
It's just salad season, and whatever you've got in the fridge and the spice cabinet, it's a good time to bust everything out.
Guys, I just had a bite and it's incredible. Like that prosciutto, if you eat prosciutto, like please put prosciutto in this. It is so good with the, I'm gonna take another bite.
And then
why not?
Enjoy it with a bottle of Riesling.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna open it like immediately after this call. But it's so good. The prosciutto with the clementines are really good. And then the onions are this unexpected, just like bite, but in a good way. And then the cranberries are like an unexpected tart sweet addition. So here, let me show you this again.
Okay, good.
Anyone have any questions at all? I have sent the recipe your way. So if you are not on the email list and you need the recipe, please reach out to me at taste@nl.edu, and I'm more than happy to get this recipe into your inbox. But yeah, I think that's about it. Sruthi is totally into her salad.
Yeah,
So-
I'm. And forget what I said earlier about like I ate a big lot. Like I'm gonna be eating a little
You're gonna
bit.
be picking out that, yeah.
She's enjoying eating her salad.
I know it's so good. Thanks guys for coming.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you everyone for joining us. We really are so happy to see so many of you here today. Thank you again, Sruthi, for the fabulous salad inspiration. And I hope that everyone has a fantastic weekend. And we will see you all again soon. All
Okay.
right.
And I
Thank
think
you.
I'm doing one Monday.
Yes, Monday is our next one. So it's coming up quick.
Yes.
Because we're gonna take a little bit of a break while Kendall is actually on the break between quarters and everything like that. But we have many more taste talks coming your way soon. So
All right.
Thank you. Good job, Shruti.
And
Bye,
I tried
guys.
pass this off.
the fish the same day you taught it.
Oh, how was it?
It was so easy to make,
Yeah.
and it was done in 15 minutes.
Rick
Perfect.
sent me a picture of it and I sent it to everyone today when I said that you were doing another demo. I was like, here is a fish made by one of our attendees. So,
Oh, wait, send it to me, Christine. I want to see it.
yeah, I'll forward it to you.
Okay, awesome. All right, I'll
Okay.
see you guys
Bye.
soon.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.